2025 was a pretty eventful year for live streamers. So today, I'd like to do a little recap of every project that I personally posted this year to have an idea of what my audience, mostly live streamers, were able to learn. If you'd like to know about my future plans for this channel for 2026, stick around till the end of the video. If I can trust my organization, there should be about 81 videos posted this year, not accounting for shorts. I posted my yearly content creator plan, talking about live streaming and making content in general, giving you tips and tricks to make sure that you have a successful year. I talk about the different niche, the different approaches. I also talk about the mentality, trying not to burn out, and the tools you might want to utilize. I also made a video focusing solely on live streaming on Twitch. This time breaking it down into multiple tips and tricks to basically get your head in the game and make sure you have a consistent experience, which is pretty ironic because I didn't. January was really about growth strategies. This one is about using your Twitch clips in order to bring traffic to your channel. Twitch having a bunch of new functions when it comes to clipping, some new platforms popping up, and also utilizing ADOM Vertical in your workflow. My favorite tip here is being able to send drafts to TikTok straight from the Twitch website. I got challenged on Twitter to create a blue screen, green screen, transparent version of the Marvel victory screen. We made it to February, this time focusing on 7 mistakes that Twitch streamers should avoid. This time not necessarily focusing on growth, but mostly the mentality and also the mental health aspect of being a Twitch streamer. Streaming is an amazing hobby that can become an amazing job, but people tend to push themselves a little too hard until streaming becomes mentally draining and it's basically self-torture. Finally, we get into the technical side of things with an OBS tutorial about masks. In this one, I really try to explain the concept of masks using MS Paint and the vanilla mask filter in OBS Studio to demonstrate how it affects transparency. We talk about the advanced mask plugin, animated masks, making static mask animated within OBS, but also how you can use mask in order to blur certain areas of your webcam to create like a cleaner chat background. This one is one of my favorite videos, and you can tell that my previous video about mask was basically leading up to this, because using color sources in the mask plugin, we got to make some creative, reactive audio visualizers, and it got like pretty far with just a couple plugins. Look at that. So yeah, pretty fun project that did not involve like a webcam or some gameplay or anything, just some cool stuff that you can make either for some fancy alerts or if you're a DJ and you want to show some visuals. Also in February, Elgato released Voice Focus, and you can see me holding a tiny desk vacuum cleaner here to test it out, and it completely gets rid of that sound. In the same month, I did a little bit of comedy here, talking about the different types of Twitch streamers, and this one was so much fun to do. One of my resolutions that year was to make content that was more entertaining and maybe a little less informative. So I'm really happy that you guys actually received this pretty well. Marvel Rivals was popping this year, so I wanted to showcase the Nerd or Die alerts that basically look like the Marvel victory screen. Those were completely customizable with a bunch of presets, so you can basically choose the color depending on the character that you prefer. This one is Hulk colored, for example. We went back a little bit on the advice side with 17 things I wish I knew before I became a content creator. In videos like this, I try to list things that may not come naturally, things that you may not realize before having a bunch of experience as a content creator. I also talk a little bit about the money aspect of it, how to deal with sponsors, listening to your audience or not. And something I do from time to time is make videos about Discord. I feel like it's something that a lot of people use. And I'm not gonna lie, some of my Discord videos have way more views than my Twitch related videos, which is probably what ruined my channel in the first place. Another one of my resolutions was to practice my 3D modeling skills. And based on that, I created those 3D alerts for live streamers. Those are still available over at gumroad.com/gallevel. And in the video, I just show you how to set them up with Stream Elements and then Streamlabs. I also briefly talk about how I created them using Blender 3D and Adobe After Effects. We are now in March, and I had some success making videos about PNG tubers. Except, of course, everyone was complaining that they don't have a dedicated artist or the money to get an artist to create their PNG tuber. So in this video, I basically show a bunch of resources to create your own PNG tuber with a couple clicks until you can hopefully afford to pay an artist. I then dropped a video about 12 random Twitch tips, giving you quick tips on how to make your stream more engaging, how to bring traffic with giveaways, how to set up a heart rate monitor, and some workflow tips for your clips. At this point, this Kendrick Lamar song was very popular where he yells, "Mustard!" So we made a creative alert based on that. With channel points, someone could redeem it, a couple seconds, and then you'd go, "Mustard!" For this video, I spent days figuring out how to get a 3D parallax effect in OBS Studio. And once I figured it out, I realized I just couldn't share it with y'all. So I ended up recreating it in CSS and uploading it to a website where you have access to it. for free, including the images. Definitely one of the most complex projects for me this year. The new Fortnite season at the time had this character and I was like, oh, this guy looks cool. Let's make a YouTube banner based on him. So in this video, I go step by step, basically showing you how to create a design based around a character that you like. And of course, I use Photopea, so the template for this is actually up there for free. Next up, I actually had some questions about how I did create that parallax effect in OBS Studio. So I decided to make a video dedicated to it with a couple color source, an image source, and a couple of tricks with the Move plugin. We end up with this. The advantage here is that, well, every single filter can be controlled with StreamerBot, so people can trigger it, people can change the color, they can change the text. You can use this as a dynamic alert. The video game Inzoi was all the rage, and I really enjoyed the UI, so I decided to make something that was super clean, basically that would remind me of the game in OBS Studio, instead of having like a cluttered overlay setup for my just chatting scene. And that was the result. In April, I gave you all the tips and tricks I used to edit video game clips for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. And this one was for people who really want to spend the time and really enhance their clips. I personally don't think you need to heavily edit your clips, but sometimes a couple of effects will grab people's attention. Also, it's good practice in general. Repo was also the game everyone was playing at the time. So what I did is go into Blender 3D, recreate the model from scratch, and make a PNG tuber that I made available for free. It was a super fun project, and I managed to show you how to make things react in OBS Studio. Using our advanced mask and a couple of color sources, I also taught you, hey, you can make this in OBS Studio directly. So this entire character you're watching here was made entirely in OBS Studio with color sources. Even got the eyes moving and everything. That was a lot of fun. After learning a lot of you actually use Canva, I decided to show you how I would go about creating overlays in Canva. So this video is basically a step-by-step of me doing just that, knowing that I'm not like an expert at Canva or anything, but I managed to make this. And this was the final result. Here the lighting is moody, so we go back to some advice. And here I wanted to make a point about people who were not that involved in a certain niche, and basically their lack of passion for that niche would sometimes mean that they get to be more successful because they have this degree of separation, and it allows them to be more productive, less emotional, and more focused on their goals. But don't worry, I also give you some hope and some motivation at the end, I think. Here we have another fun skit making fun of streamers in general, aka making fun of myself too. This one is about how streamers with moderators talk like they were some kings, being like, hey mods, bring me their head or something. I posted a lot in April. That was my Discord video of the month, showing you how to make a small Discord server for your friends. Here I dropped a template for this social media panel. I show you how to use the template and show you all the cool stuff you can do with it. After that, I asked you guys to post your clips on Twitter so I could react to them. Those videos are the most fun I have, and I love doing stuff with the community. But also, at the same time, those videos are the least successful videos on my channel. Every time I do something with the community, or I try to give the community a chance to showcase their talents, those videos absolutely tank my channel. So unfortunately, like I'll probably do less of them until I can manage to get my channel in a better place. It's a shame because that is great advertisement for everyone. Finally, I closed out the month with some more 3D animations. Again, this is me trying to practice my Blender 3D modeling skills by making some cool alerts that you can use as a live streamer. As usual, I show you how to use them with StreamElements, Streamlabs, and give you an idea of how I created them in the first place. All right, we are in the month of May and I cannot stop playing Schedule 1. This game was addictive, ironically. But there's this little thing that happens in the game where you can have customer satisfaction bar. And I decided to make a webcam overlay. So what happens here is that you have different colors for different alerts. When an alert is triggered, you get an outline of the same color, and also that bar goes to that color too. In that month, I also released my shatter screen transitions. Those are alpha transitions, so no overlays is visible. It's just one scene shatters into the other. And they roughly look like this when you use them. So if you're switching between one scene and the other, just something cool that you don't see all that often. At this point, we had some new OBS plugins coming out. Record Rename, for example, by Exeldro. The Draw plugin, Stream Up Hotkey Display. Recording Alert would play a sound every time you start recording and you stop recording. And here I show Nutty's website as a hint that I might do something with one of his widgets. Some random OBS tips, 20 of them, basically showcasing all the ways to be creative with OBS Studio. Things that I learned in the past, some quality of life stuff, audio treatment, for example, and VST plugins. And boom, our little wink wink pays off because using Nutty's music widget and modifying it with some custom CSS, I made this old school MP3 player that can pop up every time someone types !song. It's funny because a lot of young people on TikTok absolutely hated this. but I can understand it. It wasn't of their time. Around that time, I also dropped the Flux overlay. Again, this one is on Photopea and you can get it for free. It is a full overlay pack. So you get Twitch panels, you get a Be Right Back screen, you get an intermission screen, you can change the colors, all of that. Completely free and available on the website without downloading anything or doing anything fancy. Just Photopea, templates, typing my name, and you have access to everything. Finally, at the end of May, I discovered the Shadertastic plugin. That does a whole lot. It gives you a bunch of scene transitions, but also a bunch of filters, including the displacement map that I'm gonna use a lot. It's kind of funny because there I barely knew how it worked. This filter is particular because it also has like some face tracking stuff like this. And it's been a while since we had like face tracking filters. Oh yeah, you get the Superman eyes that react to audio, really cool stuff. The month is June, and at this point, I had an idea for a video for a while, and it's called like Evil Advice. And it was basically me tracking down every kind of morally shady ways that I've seen people grow their following on social media in general with content. So in this video, I just list a couple of them while also explaining how those strategies work and how you can utilize some of the advice for good without being morally shady about it. Also in June, Discord dropped an experimental feature where you could modify your voice, and it had a bunch of different voice changers, some of them completely broken, but it was pretty interesting to see. Kind of like a small integrated voice mod within Discord. In this next video, I confess that I had a video last year about recreating OBS Studio UI designs, and I never posted it because I realized it was a lot of work. Kind of like I'm realizing this video right now is gonna be a lot of work. But yeah, I spent a lot of time redesigning OBS Studio based on other types of UIs, mostly like video game types of UIs, notably Call of Duty. Here we have something more fun, kind of like Fall Guys, I would say, or even Fortnite. But yeah, that was hey, let me share this because I abandoned this project. It's not going anywhere. Ooh, this one was a whole lot of work, way more work than it's worth. But yeah, I modeled this 3D switch to create this alert, and again, show you how to use it using Extreme Elements and Streamlabs. And that's when Apple came out with their Liquid Glass announcement, and I immediately had to hop on OBS Studio. Using that Shadertastic filter, tried to figure out how the displacement actually works and how I can make it happen within OBS Studio. Turns out totally possible, even though I end up showing a more complicated method in this video. There's like easier ways to make it happen in OBS, but it was cool to show that, hey, you can make displacement happen in OBS Studio. You can also create the displacement map also directly within OBS Studio. I also showed that NDDP already had a Lucid Glass shader for the shader filter plugin, so you can get that effect with 2 clicks. Going back to the basics, I wanted to show people how to have a full OBS setup in less than 10 minutes by utilizing Elgato's marketplace content. If you don't know it, Elgato actually has a plugin for OBS Studio, and they have some full overlay packs on their marketplace. And what you can do is, in a couple clicks, install directly your scene, your sources, your animated scenes and sources with a couple clicks and have them up and ready. Look at that. Even with transitions and everything. The final video for June was about the Stroke Glow Shadow plugin and all the cool things that you could do with it. I'm all about being creative in OBS Studio, but it was really nice to see plugins that basically, little by little, turn OBS Studio into Adobe Photoshop or even Adobe After Effects. This one quickly became one of my top 10 at least plugins to absolutely install in OBS Studio. Look at that. Isn't that cool? All right, let me try to move faster. In July, I talked about StreamUp Tips and their plugin to let you update all of your OBS plugins. Look at that. If you have an outdated plugin, it will tell you. Years ago, I did a collab with Truey and never posted it, so decided to post it that time. We basically played Overcooked 2 while using VoiceMod's new human voices. This video was such a blast, and I remember like dying laughing while editing it. Going off the same principle of my shatter transitions, I decided to make shatter alerts. Basically, when an alert is triggered, the corner of your screen would shatter, revealing the actual alert. And it will come back up. At this point, I was playing the game Peak a lot and decided to create 3 levels of PNG Tuber. This one is just 2 screenshots. This one is retracing the whole thing in Photoshop, and this one is recreating the whole thing in Blender. Here we have a video about the first plugins that you should install with OBS, which is the plugin installer V2. This is a separate little software that allows you to install and also update plugins for OBS Studio. I then made a specific video on how to create this effect, another one actually going in depth in explaining how displacement actually works in OBS, just to make sure everyone understands it for future projects. Here I show how to get the streaming status in Discord, and here we go step by step in a Twitch channel showing you every single little thing that you can actually customize to make it more yours. We are now in August and I show you where to get memes and how to apply them to OBS Studio and get them triggered with channel points using StreamerBot. This one was probably actually my biggest project. Spent weeks on it, but basically creating a command where people could open boxes to get knives, different levels of rarity. I had to do the 3D modeling, the sound design, and everything. In this video, I share a Discord panel design, also available for free at Photopea.com. And here I created this holographic card design in OBS Studio. Made a list of the best Discord bots to use for your servers and how to get a simple counter in StreamerBot. For example, a death counter if you're playing a difficult game. I felt like my Peak PNG Tuber wasn't enough, so I went ahead and traced every single possibility in the Peak game for customization and made a PNG Tuber that chat could change live by typing !mouth, color, eyes, face, and all of that would change dynamically depending on what they type. I spent way too much time on this. Oh yeah, I also shared all the images I traced for free. In September, Elgato dropped the Demon voice effects that you can get from their marketplace. And it's pretty awesome. I actually had to take a huge break from content at this point because I was having surgery. All that to come back to my biggest flop of the year, an essay about video games teaching you real life skills. It actually flopped so hard that I had to delete it and re-upload it just for it to flop again. So at the end of the month, I wanted to do something creative and came back with my soda can alerts. As usual, showed you how to set them up and also explained how I made them from scratch. October begins with a bunch of Discord Easter eggs, then a video about Kai Cenat and what we can learn from his success, and another music widget, this time animated, and this time modified for a different format. Around this time, Adam dropped their multi-stream plugin, allowing you to stream on Kick, YouTube, and Twitch at the same time. I also dropped this little social media template. You probably see a lot of famous people having theirs like that. So I thought, hey, why not make a template, make it available for everyone? Also on Photopea. Ooh, that's when the YOLOCAM S3 also dropped. This one was a lot of fun to film. This webcam is pretty amazing, and a lot of you hated me for that for some reason. I got a lot of backlash just because this webcam is not a brand name and was accused of doing a paid promo just because I liked the webcam. Look at it. It looks great. The background is slightly blurry. That's a webcam. Also, when you zoom in, I could see my pores. But anyways, if it's not coming from your favorite brand, apparently you guys don't want anything. Dropped a video on the new StreamerBot on how to set it up and everything and how it works. Then a bunch of tips on how to use OBS Studio to make live edits. And for my birthday, Affinity decided to drop a free version of their software. It's basically like Photoshop, but free. And I taught you how to make a professional YouTube thumbnail with a bunch of tips and tricks. Still in November, Horizon dropped this 3D panel plugin that can turn any source into a 3D panel. So of course I had to flex a little bit, created a Nintendo Switch directly in OBS Studio, which is wild, but hey, that's what's possible now. I'll definitely be using this more and more. I then dropped a video on more advanced methods to clip stuff to be vertical and to be as TikTok ready as possible. Basically putting all of your information on your gameplay in there, making sure that all you have to do is trim and your clip is the highest quality possible. Still November, since we have a 3D panel plugin now, we can make our own iPod directly in OBS Studio, complete with that little reflection effect, which is nothing more than an advanced mask basically moving left to right. I started getting requests about making overlays using Affinity now. And I basically had created this off stream and I decided, hey, let me actually show you a step-by-step on how I actually made it. And this is what we ended up with. One more Affinity tutorial, also about making thumbnails, but this time more gaming related. The last one, I basically used my face. A lot of you don't use your face. A lot of you just play games or make videos about games. So that was the final result of that. The template was also posted for free. Beginning of December, I made a video talking about this particular live stream that I had a couple years ago. And it was pretty simple. I had a blindfold on, I had a set of wheels and pedals, and I was letting chat use TTS to guide me to the finish line. And this one I gave a bunch of tips and tricks on how to be more interactive or how to create special streams, special event streams for your chat. Someone on Twitter said, oh, if you think acting like a clown is what you need to do to entertain your audience, then I don't know what to tell you. Now, I had a 3D card project in mind for a while, but now that we had the 3D panel plugin, it became super easy to actually do in OBS Studio. This video shows you exactly how to do it and put the person's profile picture if you want to, that's optional. And I also shared the card design for free. And finally, the last video before this one is how to easily add and customize snow for your broadcasting software. Any broadcasting software. Since you know, 'tis this season. I've been yapping for an hour and a half. I'm not gonna lie, 2025 was actually one of the hardest years for me when it comes to this channel. Stats-wise, I had pretty much the worst numbers I've ever had since I started YouTube. But towards the end of the year, it started going back up a little bit. I've definitely had the biggest flops of my career, pretty much. Everything took a nosedive after COVID, which is understandable, but you know, for a channel that has over 150,000 subscribers, I never thought I could post any video that would be stuck at like 300 views. For those who pay attention, you probably noticed that I also didn't take any sponsors this year, and that's a conscious decision. But this is not me complaining, this is just what happened this year and what will lead to my future choices. I think I'm going to dial it back a little bit on the advanced stuff. As much fun as it is to create like super advanced stuff in OBS Studio, I don't think that's the majority of people. So I'll do my best to go back into basic tutorials, teaching you how to do simple, useful stuff. I might also do less step-by-step tutorials and focus more on things that I can share directly. That way, you don't have to work hard. I'll do the work for you. When it comes to channel memberships, I still need to figure out a sustainable way to post content there to make it worth your while. And finally, without giving it out, I'm also working on another YouTube channel that has nothing to do with streaming. Hopefully that can get monetized soon to become an extra source of revenue, but also an outlet for my creativity. Long story short, I've been really focused on the bells and whistles, and I need to go back to the roots. This is definitely not my last video of the year, but I am so excited for 2026, and I can't wait to see you there. But as usual, go out there, make me proud, get level, out.